Let's talk about a shield, but I'm not talking about one made of steel. Imagine something far more delicate and way, way more valuable. I'm talking about a shield built from pure silicon, etched with patterns so tiny they pretty much defy physics. For decades, this silicon shield has been the invisible, almost mythical defense of Taiwan.
So here's the crazy paradox we're going to dig into. What if the one country that's promised to protect Taiwan is actually the one taking apart its main line of defense? It's a massive gamble, and it could be shaking one of America's most critical alliances right to its core. Let's unpack how we got here.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to understand just how powerful this whole concept is. What exactly is the silicon shield? Well, it's an idea that grew out of one company's game-changing business model, a model that literally reshaped our entire world.
It all starts right here. Thanks to the legendary company TSMC, Taiwan makes over 60% of the world's semiconductors. That is just staggering dominance in what is basically the engine room of the global economy. But that number, as huge as it is, well, it's actually kind of misleading. That's because when you look at only the most advanced chips, the bleeding-edge processors that are the brains behind AI, data centers, modern weapons, Taiwan's market share just skyrockets to over 90%. Meanwhile, the United States, it makes basically none of these at scale.
And this incredible dominance created this brilliant two-sided defense. For China, invading would be like economic suicide, because it would cut off the chips its own industries desperately need. And for the US, it's a direct threat to national security. I mean, a single Javelin missile has over 250 chips in it. Any disruption would weaken the US military overnight. It all boils down to this. America's dependence on Taiwan is the shield.
For years, this delicate balance actually held. It was this fragile, unspoken peace. But then, a global crisis came along and put the whole system through a brutal stress test. And suddenly, Washington woke up to what it now saw as a really dangerous vulnerability.
I mean, you can literally draw a straight line from what's happened over the last few years to where we are right now. The COVID-19 pandemic kicked off a global chip shortage, and that shortage exposed just how deeply America relied on Taiwan. That realization of a dangerous dependence led directly to a massive piece of industrial policy. And the result was the CHIPS and Science Act. You can think of it as a $52.7 billion fire hose of cash with one single goal: bring advanced chip manufacturing back home. Now, on the surface, this looked like a total win-win, especially when TSMC announced a huge new factory in Arizona. But back in Taiwan, a totally different story started to unfold.
You see, this move by the US sparked this deep, gut-level anxiety in Taiwan, a fear that you can sum up with just one powerful phrase.
And that phrase is Tao Kong, the hollowing out. It's this deep-seated fear that by moving its crown jewel technology and its top engineers to the US, Taiwan is basically giving away the very thing that keeps it safe. It's like handing over the keys to your own fortress.
This quote from a Taiwanese politician just captures that fear perfectly. The worry is that the CHIPS Act isn't a partnership at all, but a kind of strategic extraction, all driven by America's desire to be less vulnerable, maybe even at the cost of Taiwan's own security.
And this fear, it just got worse when the move to Arizona exposed this huge cultural gap. The super intense, military-style work culture in Taiwan just slammed up against American labor norms. It caused friction, delays, and it showed that Taiwan's secret sauce isn't just about technology. It's this entire ecosystem that you can't just pick up and move.
And hey, Taiwan isn't the only ally feeling the heat here. Just look at South Korea, home to chip giants like Samsung and SK Hynix. The CHIPS Act has basically put them between a rock and a hard place. See, to get US subsidies, they have to promise not to expand their advanced operations in China for 10 years. But here's the kicker. China is their biggest market. It's an ultimatum, hurt your bottom line to get on board with Washington's strategy.
So how did the world respond?
Well, with a frantic, globe-spanning subsidy arms race. South Korea passed its own K-CHIPS Act to keep money at home. The EU launched a 43 billion euro version. Japan is offering to cover half the cost of new factories. And with everyone throwing hundreds of billions at the same problem, a new fear is starting to creep in. A massive global chip glut that could throw the whole industry into chaos.
Okay, but hold on. There's a totally different way to look at all of this. A really powerful counterargument that says, hey, the shield isn't breaking. Instead, it's being completely reforged for a much more dangerous world.
This new strategy is all about a shift from dependence to integration.
By building factories in Arizona, TSMC isn't just moving production, it's physically weaving itself into the fabric of its protector. Taiwan's survival becomes a domestic American issue. I mean, think about it. It's a lot harder to abandon an ally when they're also a major employer in a key swing state, right?
And what about that whole hollowing out story? Well, the data suggests that's a bit of an overstatement. Even with these new U.S. factories, projections show that by 2030, Taiwan will still control a whopping 58% of the advanced chip market. The U.S. share will grow to 20%, which is a big deal, but it's not a replacement, not by a long shot.
But maybe the most important piece of the puzzle is this. TSMC has made it crystal clear that its technological crown jewels, all the R&D for the next generation, the 2nm and 1.6nm chips, that's all going to be developed in Taiwan first. The roots of the company and its entire future are staying right there on the island.
So what does this all mean? It means the world is still going to be critically dependent on Taiwan for the absolute bleeding edge of technology. The silicon shield, then, isn't really disappearing. It's just changing. It's evolving from a shield based on sheer manufacturing volume to one based on holding the irreplaceable key to the future.
So is America breaking the silicon shield? The simple answer is no, but it is, without a doubt, being changed, being chipped away at, and being reforged. We're moving from a world where Taiwan's security was all about being a single, untouchable fortress to a world where its survival is backed up by this global network of intertwined interests. The shield isn't broken, it's being decentralized. The big question we're left with is, in this new, more dangerous world, is that going to be enough?